Hey guys, welcome to Coffee with Coach Tracey number 2. Today I have one of my usual suspects, a client of mine who has agreed to be the first victim on my podcast vlog. Anyway, I welcome tonight who's joining me for coffee for about half an hour, Miss Faye. So how are you, Faye, besides nervous and anxious and all the rest?
Nervous and anxious and all the rest. Not bad.
Can you just fix your microphone a little bit close to your mouth so we can hear you a little bit better?
Is that better?
Awesome. Do you want to give it a test drive?
1, 2, 3 testing.
hopefully that comes good on the video. Tonight we're videoing this, we're recording this, and we're going to pop it out a little bit later. So each time we sit down and have coffee with Coach Tracey, there's going to be a theme or a concept or an idea. And just before we jumped in, I asked Miss Faye if she had a topic she'd like to chat about. And tonight we're going with anxiety and self-worth. Is that right, Faye?
Yes, that sounds about right.
So what is it about that subject, about the anxiety? Tell me more, let's have a conversation. This is something that you struggle with. You're sharing that tonight. So remember, this is public, so only share what you're comfortable with. I want to
Yep.
set that precedent for yourself and my future coffee guests. So just let any viewers know a little bit more about what's going on in that space, and over to you.
So I I have a project going at the moment, and I am experiencing a certain level of anxiety about it, to get it right, to not stuff it up. Um, it's a craft type project, and
I think I
I
know what
spent
it
so
is, but we'll don't have to define for the viewers. But yeah, the craft project that you're doing at the moment. So
yeah,
you've got anxiety around wanting to be perfect.
to get it, yeah, to get it right, to not stuff it up, and um being new to using um an overlocker that I've recently received, and just stressing out about it, and it's on a timeline, just to make life more interesting.
Just to make my life more interesting, is required for the weekend. Obviously, it's a sewing project with the
Yes,
overlocker involved. Just so
yes.
everybody knows, it's some clothes that she's got to wear this weekend, and she's stressing out about it. Okay, so question, you're saying you're feeling anxious, and is it perfectionism that is causing this, or what do you think?
I think it is a little bit. I mean, I would never have thought myself to be a perfectionist. Um, but for whatever reason, this is getting into my head. Um, I already know there's a section of it that I have to undo and redo
Mhm.
because it kind of folded over on itself. So yeah, I think there is a certain amount of perfectionism happening with this.
One thing about perfectionism, a lot of people actually have this in them. If you care about something, if you care about what you're doing and whatever, you actually do want it to be a little bit perfect. Yeah, a little bit of this perfection. And it's okay to feel a little bit of it, because it shows that you care.
Yeah.
However, when it starts taking over your life, it may not be a healthy amount of perfectionism.
Mm. It hasn't quite taken over yet. Although I did spend a lot of time last night going, I really need to work on this, but I'm too tired and I will make a mistake if I try and do it tonight.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So,
This is where a lot of people push through. They push through. I know another client of mine pushed through and went to work and got a roasting from the boss because they weren't there. They didn't have the energy to do their work effectively and things like that. It was only for a couple of days. It's a physical job. They were suffering injury, but they pushed through. And I suppose as society, this is where we can have a problem, is because, you know, we're supposed to soldier on. For those who are not Australian, there used to be an ad campaign around flu and cold medication. Faye would also remember this quite well, and it was soldier on with Codral. So we soldier on, you know, even though we've got germs and we feel sick, and we soldier on anyway, you know, got to get to work. But that sort of thinking is in our society right across the board. So, you know, when you think about that mentality, you actually did awesome then, because you stopped yourself from soldiering on and you've got time to finish it.
it's only 4 days.
4 days. How many hours in a day, Faye?
Yeah, but I've got to work.
Yeah, I'm going to minus that off. I do maths, you know.
So I contemplated taking it to work to unstitch what I needed to unstitch. And then I decided that no, people at work would probably ask too many questions.
So you don't want to share this with the people at work?
Not really, no.
Okay. So 4 days to unstitch and redo a little bit of stitching on a seam. And what else is left to do?
I've got to go around the whole outside of it with the overlocker, which is easy. That won't take very long to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got to hem sleeves and bottom hem and all of that, which again probably won't take very long to do. I just need to have the energy at the end of the day to do it, so and not procrastinate.
Okay, so are we now talking about projecting the anxiety onto a what if that is may or may not happen? Are we talking about projecting that we won't have any energy, so therefore telling ourselves that?
I wouldn't have said so.
Mm-hmm.
I just know what I can be like towards the end of the week, particularly.
How you know what your behaviors are towards the end of the week. So how do you? It's a 4-day week this week, not a 5-day week. So how
Yes.
are we? How do you get around that?
Well, I will have some time on Friday because I'm not going to work on Friday.
Okay, and how long is this project going to take on Friday?
I don't know. Um, because I'm still trying to figure out the overlocker. It might take a couple of hours.
Okay, so do you have a couple of hours on Friday?
I should have a couple of hours in there somewhere, yes.
Okay, do you have a lifeline for this project? I'm only saying that
Life.
because I know where your lifeline is.
I probably do have a lifeline for this project.
Yes. So why? So now, when we started this conversation, besides being anxious, being filmed and being going out onto YouTube, um, and thank you for being my first ever guest. You know it's going to be a repeat appearance from time to time. You know that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to talk about. And you never know, it might be the Tracey and Faye show. Who knows? We may end up morphing. Anyway, being one of my usual suspects. So you've got this now that you think about it after 4 hour, knowing that you've got a couple of hours to do it on Friday. Where does your anxiety level sit?
At the moment, about midway. It's nothing
Okay.
like what it was last night.
Okay. So between 1 and 10.
Um, Probably about a 6.
So now it's about a 6, or it started as a 6?
No, it started at about an 8.
Okay. So what is it going to take for us to get it from a 6 to at least a 4?
Gets it finished.
We're talking about making this garment. We're not talking about anything else on the weekend, Faye.
Yes, yes, no, that's what I was talking about. That's what I was talking about. Um, Not being as tired as I was last night, I'm a bit more able to look at it objectively.
Yep.
So the anxiety is not as high as last night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will probably sit down and unstitch that thing tonight.
So if you make the time to pull apart that seam tonight and or restitch it tonight, will that help bring your anxiety down and your projection of that you're coming up with down enough for you to get a good night's sleep?
I think it will, yeah.
Excellent. So what else is going on?
Oh, life in general. Um, I was a bit anxious about going to work today because of what happened on Friday. Um,
And
but
I know
it's
because
been a
of
pretty
your
good day,
work, you
so
can't identify people and things like that. So there's a lot of a lot of privacy matters around your work because you work with young people.
yeah.
Um, that thing. So what do you do for self-care when you start to feel anxious?
Um, Depends on the time of day. If it's the end of the day, I will, if I'm able to, I will go down to the beach. I will go and stand barefoot in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if the weather's okay, I might even sit on a rug out in the backyard. Um, if it's at work, I'll quietly tap on my fingers.
So do some of the
Um,
tapping that we've done before.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. Um, if I'm anxious at night when I'm going to bed, I'll tap then too. Uh, I do find that does work.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just taking my mind off what's worrying me and focusing on just the movement and
Yeah.
the impact. Ow. Sorry, I jammed my
I'm
finger.
surprised you're not tapping now because I'm quite
You can't
comfortable in
see
front of the camera. So, and
you can't see my hands.
that's why we've got the coffee. Sit here and
Yeah,
have a
well,
conversation. I don't know how long I'll be
my
taping for, probably about 15 minutes, or is it closer to 20? I don't know.
no, about 15.
Okay.
I've got tea, not coffee.
Yeah, well, I've got the dopamine inducing focus inducing caffeine at the moment. So uh,
Um, Licorice and peppermint.
I don't know if I've ever tried a licorice and peppermint. What do you find the
Oh,
benefits are?
It's a hot drink without the caffeine.
Yeah, because caffeine does feed anxiety.
Mm. And especially late in the day, I like to be able to go to sleep. And I've been, for the most part, very good about cutting back on the amount of caffeine I've been drinking.
Yeah,
So,
for the most part. I picked up on that word.
sorry,
I picked up for the most part. What's the for the most
for the
part?
most. Well, it depends. I've got friends who drop in and make me coffee that's way too strong.
Ah,
Um,
yes.
uh, so yeah, and help reduce the blood pressure and all of
So
that sort of stuff.
you've got this thing on the weekend. You're making this garment for the weekend to
Yep.
wear for this function. And you're talking at the beginning of this, you said anxiety and not good enough.
Yep.
So how, like, we've known each other quite a while, for the viewers. We've been working together. Faye is actually one of my PT coaching clients, and I've been coaching her for self for years. Thinking back, before we had the coaching that we do now, um, you know, where I get very inquisitive. How do you find the difference between the stealth coaching and what I do now? Is there a huge amount of difference?
No, because it's just out there in the open now. I caught on to what you were doing.
I was stealthing for a while, guys. So, do you want to tell people what you've got out, what you've learned about yourself over the years? Having someone, it doesn't have to be me, people, it can be another coach or someone who can support and have accountability and everything else. How has that changed your life?
Huge, absolutely massive. Um, I'm a lot more like in the PT stuff, I'm a lot more confident of the strength that I have and what I'm capable of doing.
Yep.
I also know when to back off. If I'm injured, I need to, drop it back or whatever. Um, a lot more confident as a whole in other aspects of my life.
Yep.
Certainly a lot healthier than I was when I started training, however many years ago it was.
More than 10 peeps.
Yes, more than 10. Um, like I do a Cliff Young shuffle around the block as a warm up for a PT session. When I first started training with Tracey, it was like I don't run.
That didn't work for
I
a very long,
distinct,
did it, Faye?
I distinctly remember telling you I don't run, and I think it was the second session you made me run. Uh,
Yeah, we can't have those barriers there. It's limiting belief systems, you know?
yeah, very much so. Um, I also have a lot more belief in myself in other aspects of my life as well. Um, and that's a learning and growing process that's I've learned is going to be a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I probably wouldn't have looked at it that way, whereas I do now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely improved my confidence in pretty much everything, I
Well,
think.
when I first met you, you wouldn't have sat here and done this with me.
No, absolutely
Um,
not.
you wouldn't have jumped in front of a camera and, let me record this and put it out and share it with other people. Um, so I'm curious if you were talking about coaching or even counseling with other people, what would you say to them?
Do it. Because the coaching, it's like, it gives you the push in the right direction to set goals, to be open and confident in what you're wanting to say or do. It's given me the confidence to stand up for myself in many ways. I find myself quoting um, things that you've said to me. I find myself saying that to the young people that I work with.
Yeah.
And it's not even really, I don't think it's even really a conscious decision that I say those things. It's like, I don't believe that. I believe you can do it.
Yeah.
And things like that. And it's not even something I really think about saying before I say it. It just comes out. And that's because I've heard that from you and I've taken it on board for myself. So I'm trying to impart onto the young people I work with that if I can do it, you can do it too.
So it's a positive mindset thing.
Absolutely.
Your mindset has shifted over the time from a can't to a have a go and can.
Yeah.
Um,
Or I know this is um I know it's hard, but you won't know until you try.
okay, so a bit about like you sewing with the overlocker.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So now you're coaching by self.
Yes. Yeah.
In your role in your work, that's basically what you're doing
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
coaching in an academic way.
Yeah. And
I
I've got
did.
to do coaching with staff members tomorrow.
Well, for myself, not just as coaching you, but also as a coachee, I get coached as well. I don't think people realize that coaches are often a client of another coach. So we have that accountability for what we're saying and doing as well, especially in these days where we're work by ourselves, we work from home, we're self-employed. You really don't have that accountability because you haven't got a boss to answer to. You haven't got shareholders or stakeholders or any of that. So even as a coachee, I have mentor coaching and I'm part of a coaching group. So I get not just that group, one person, I get a group of minds, people who think different to me, people that educate me and I educate them. So it's a mutual thing going on. And with my mentor coach is, making sure that I am doing coaching, not counseling, because for anyone watching this, I'm also a counselor. And for that, I do supervision to make sure I'm not coaching in my counseling and counseling in my coaching, and that I'm doing the right thing by my clients. So I also go and seek out professionals to keep my skills and things like that. And to make sure that I'm doing the best for my clients. And Faye, would you say that your experience has been, you've said it was empowering. Do you feel that there was any negative sides to being coached? Or what have you?
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes yes. Normally it's in relation to my own headspace,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, I really don't want to do this today and you're going to make me do it. But then having gone out and done it, I feel better.
So is that a
So
negative, or is it a challenging you find yourself in challenging headspaces?
challenging headspaces. I don't think there's anything really that I would classify as strictly negative. Um, you know,
Because I
aside
can
from sore
say from
muscles.
my perspective as a coachee that being coached can be very confronting
Mm,
and can be very uncomfortable at times.
yeah.
But it is so empowering when we can realize how we move through the world and what we do. As I've put out there, I neurodiverse, and if you want to ask anyone if that is 100% true, ask the person I'm talking to, because I work with her in a fitness sense as well as in a coaching sense. She sees a bit of a different side of me as well. So she sees the neurodiversity and the jumping around of topics. And tonight is a lot more focused conversation than I do in my private life. But I just wanted to share with everybody, it is challenging. And being neurodiverse, sometimes it's challenging to follow through if you don't have that accountability. So, working with the children you do, Faye, do you find that having that learnt to be accountable yourself to someone, or you've given me permission to be accountable for, or whoever you choose to hold yourself accountable to, do you also find that you that having that accountability also helps your students and people that you work with follow through?
The people that I work with, yes. Um, some of the young people, yes. Others are a work in progress.
Okay, because you do a similar sort of work to I do. Like, I may coach you, but then you're coaching young people in your workspace, and I get coached by someone else in my workspace, which is coaching. So it's sort of like a big loop going coaching, 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 coaching. So it's always handy to have some sort of accountability, someone to throw ideas and concepts with. For you, me, in our case, it's around, your everyday stuff. It's life coaching. It's not just work coaching. It's not just, health coaching. It's a holistic perspective that we take. Um, and you're able to pass on some of that experience to the kids to help encourage them and keep them engaged and hold them accountable. And you find that, we are talking about young people with limited life experience, so that they're coming to you with other neurodiverse challenges as well. So would you agree with that, or what else could you add to that, Faye?
I would agree with that. Um, like we have team discussions all the time, where we're coaching each other. Um, I'm coaching 3 new people tomorrow on something. And yeah, trying that being held accountable, and then me passing things on to the kids and encouraging them to hold themselves accountable,
Mhm.
because I know the stuff. I can't do the test for you. I can't, do the work for you. I can tell you how to do it. So
And
yeah,
like the sewing,
I
Faye.
agree. Sorry,
A bit like sewing, Faye.
damn thing's going to be the death of me.
Sorry, guys. I've been helping her with sewing this garment. So I'm the fallback person that she's going to lean on if she can't get it done, which is why I keep throwing it back in there. A little bit of a giggle.
Helps ease the anxiety.
Yes, actually, laughter is really good for anxiety. It gets those hormones going.
The good endorphins, isn't it?
Well, we have endorphins, we have oxytocin, we have serotonin and dopamine. So you got four main brain chemicals, and oxytocin, endorphins, they both hit with laughter and connectiveness and, things like that. So laughter is shared laughter is a bit of a connection, and it's, the feel good hormones.
Yeah.
So, and for neurodiverse people, understanding what triggers what hormones is quite can be quite important, because if we can give ourselves a top-up dose of some dopamine or some endorphins or something else, it helps us get stuff done. Anyway, I think we've been going about half an hour, Faye. We
Yeah,
probably should
got
wrap
that.
this up and not bore the internet completely in one session.
Okay.
So just to
Thank
finish
you.
off, is there anything you want to add? Because we've gone over a whole, we've talked about anxiety and projection and logically thinking about it rather than things. And we talked a little bit about what coaching meant to you and everything else. And now we're at the end. Is there anything you'd like to add to tell everybody out there that may view this in the future, or next week or 3 weeks time or 3 years time? You never know how long it's up there for.
Or whenever. Um, I highly recommend um coaching. It definitely helps you to focus on where you want to go. Um, so I highly recommend coaching, whether that's with Tracey or with someone else. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, thank you, Faye. Thank you to anybody who's watching. Maybe next time or the time after. Actually, I've got another counselor. I have a counselor lined up to come and have a chat. So we might have a chat about the difference between counseling and coaching. And I actually have another coach lined up to come and chat with me, so we can talk about their coaching journey and what they do with their clients, and maybe how it's similar or different to what I do with mine. Anyway, I'm going to finish it here. Catch you next time in episode 3. So for episode 2,
Okay.
say goodbye, Faye.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye,
Tracey.
guys. See you.